Welcome, Baruch Hashem. Thank you, family, friends, Rebbeim, teacher, other teachers, neighbors. Happy Rosh Chodesh tonight, starting Adar, already 10 hours later, so probably already hitting Rosh Chodesh Adar in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel. And Pashat this week, Rabbi Penny Dunner, nice article I shared on Pashat Truma, coinciding with Rosh Chodesh, Pashat Shkalim. So it's not every year. I'm not sure how often it happens. Haven't investigated, but apparently not too often. So it's not maybe auspicious for the Beis Hamikdash resumption of the halacha. We're going to be doing part 3 of the Moshe MS series on the alignment of Torah and science with ancient civilization. This in particular 12-week segment is on the Persian Empire, Torah and the Persian Empire. Might say Purim and the Persian Empire, but that's already taken by this excellent book by Yehuda Landy. Nice coffee table book. It does not include Perelman's Chazal-based alternate that reconciles the 52-year Persian span with ancient civilization and Torah, as we covered in segments 1 and 2. Okay, so today we're going to try to address ancient historians from the period, Xenophon, Herodotus, Ctesias, Thucydides, probably mispronouncing that, history of the Peloponnesian Wars. And I think the Olympiad dating will make a separate segment after we've get through after Purim, maybe after Pesach. I may talk about let's start with tablet 4956, astronomical tablet 4956. We had a separate article probably about over 5 years ago on how that actually aligns as well or better with Chazal, Torah chronology, Nebuchadnezzar, years 3319 is year 1 to 3364. And that just subtract years ago from 5,785 to get the years before present, and the years from 5,785 minus 2,025 is equal to 3,760. So if you subtract 3,360 from 3,760, 400 years before the Christian era begins. In 3,760 on a Monday, starting year 1, starting on day 6, creation of Adam in full stature. So, the reason nobody figured that out is their consensus is inflated still by 164 years from the time of Sargon too, so they're not looking in the right place. It's like having a treasure map for the wrong island, and you can dig everywhere. You're not going to find it unless you move over to the island where the treasure is hidden, and that's in Torah chronology. Yeah, people aren't going to be looking that far away. And so you can check that out we have it posted on ResearchGate, on Academia, on Perlman, YEC, Perlman Torah chronology. And of course, in Torah Discovery Chronology, TDC, is Torah Perlman chronology, also Bible chronology. This has the Behistun inscription, 3396, Darius the Persian, the father, not the son, of Ahasuerus, Darius the Great, and his death as the same year we resumed construction. The 7th year after 3390 counted as year 1. Cyrus' proclamation of Ezra, we return. And so 3396 is year 7 from that, which is actually year 10 of Ahasuerus. It begins 7 years earlier than almost everybody thought. Most people think he begins after Cyrus, 3393, some 3393. Really, he begins, that's actually year 7 when Esther is elevated to queened. It's 3393, the year Cyrus passes on, Cyrus the Anointed. And so 3387, Ahasuerus being the royal blood of Cyrus. So his grandson, his oldest daughter, Atosa, so Atosa, rather than make her a satrap, he made her son with Darius the Great, her husband, satrap, initial authority, 3387, with his mother's guidance. He was probably around 10 years old at the time, no more than 12, I'd say. And okay, and then ends up being the King of Kings, 127 later on, by the end of the Megillah. Darius the Great probably passes on year 14, 3400 is year 6, the completion of the Holy Temple. 3399 is the Purim climax on the 14th and 15th of Adar. So it'll be in 2 weeks to Purim. Okay. All right, so yes, we have it in here. In fact, I'll be looking at, and hopefully the camera will still be on. So you can make sure I haven't taken off. And when we go through these different historians, okay. So yeah, tablet 4956, look for it to align as well or better with Nebuchadnezzar 3319 to 3346, his years 1 through, so was it his year 27 or something? I forgot the exact year the tablet was. It's been like over 5 years, like I mentioned, since I investigated that and put the article in, and nobody's falsified it, and it could have easily shown that. Some people said, yeah, it's they can't. My article is they didn't look, and they said, yeah, it could be, although it's not definitive because it does not align. There are a couple of major material issues with trying to align it with the consensus, and there are a few different opinions on what it should be, but nobody has it, the way we have it, so nobody's really tried to confirm it, our article, and written about it. Okay. Aside to say that it was viable. Okay, Legacy of Sinai, Rabbi Tzchaya Fendel, Tsunami, that's our default. We just found, before we get into it, with Ezekiel, talking about the restored Holy Temple, Ezekiel mentions Daniel, but which Daniel? So if you're going to say Daniel begins prophecy 3 years after, remember 3 years of preparation after, he's royal blood, so he is prominent. So Ezekiel would know, probably have heard of him, but 33:38 to 33:40, you'll see that prophecy for Ezekiel kind of ends 33:38 by the destruction of the Holy Temple. So Daniel is exiled in 33:38. So 33:40, the common start of prophecy to Daniel, maybe say to Olam. But that doesn't work. That doesn't work with the Daniel of Ezekiel, as pointed out by Rabbi Reuven Chaim Stern on Academia. So I wrote a response to that and showed why we should, this actually helps pinpoint Daniel being exiled in 33:27, 11 years earlier than 33:38. Many people were exiled in 33:27. Maybe Ezekiel himself, assuming he was exiled, or if he went part way or all the way into exile. That's I think there are different views on that. So anyway, 33:27, assume that's when Daniel is exiled, and so the third year after that. So if 33:38 is, I did a recent article, you could look it up on ResearchGate and Academia, on the identity of Daniel and Ezekiel, and so other people also hold it's Daniel, but I don't think they worked through the math. Well, if somebody did, somebody could have already done this before. It's not that difficult. But with 33:27 exile, like Yehoiachin in the 9th year of Nebuchadnezzar, 33:19. So I believe the 9th year is 33:19 year 1, should make 33:27 year 9. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus 0 year, 33:20 plus year 8. And then so 33:19, that's the 9th year of Nebuchadnezzar. I think that's explicit in either in Kings. In the article we reference, it's either Kings, 2 Kings, or could be the end of Chronicles, but I think 2 Kings. Maybe the end of Jeremiah. And okay, so 33:27, King Yehoiachin with an N, who reigned for 3 months. Then Nebuchadnezzar brought up to Babel. He's imprisoned. Within days of Nebuchadnezzar passing, King Evil-Merodach, could be Nabonidus I. Nabonidus I. Herodotus, we're going to see, does say there's a the Belshazzar, there's a father and son who follow each other after Nebuchadnezzar. So that's how Chazal had it. Evil-Merodach I and is Nabonidus I, aka is based on Evil-Merodach, and then Nabonidus II. And sometimes they get conflated by people who don't realize and don't follow know Chazal. And there's actually quite a bit of overlap. So I don't think Belshazzar just wrote 3 years after his father passed on. He was running the show when his father was down for about 10 years in Taman. And so Yehoiachin, there's also a dispute, says after Evil-Merodach made sure his dad was dead, who didn't want Yehoiachin taken out of prison, puts him above the other kings at his table, feeds him daily, provides his food provisions daily until his death. So whose death? Is it Evil-Merodach, or is it his King Yehoiachin, who he elevated to his table? So there's a good chance that they both passed on when Cyrus took the initiative, and Evil-Merodach went back. His son had stirred up some trouble trying to divide and conquer Persia and Media, who are, very closely connected through marriage and history. Darius the Mede being the brother of the mother of Cyrus, and Cyrus used to go to Media and be with his grandfather, whose name I think was Ahasuerus. The Astyages and Cyaxares, I'm sure the Persians know how to pronounce it better. They're enumerated in Xenophon. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Cyropaedia, a great book. It's an excellent book on Cyrus, and a lot more factual and reliable perspective than most people can consider using the current consensus, because Xenophon actually he came with Cyrus the Younger campaign before leading back the 6,000 of the 10,000 Greek mercenaries that went down with Cyrus the Younger. And it was against Ahasuerus, by the way. And about a few years after the passing of Darius, the son of Hystapes, who's on the Histon inscription fame. So it's about 8 years after this. Xenophon comes down. He talks to, a lot of the people from Persia, like Cyrus the Younger, who would, who actually knew Cyrus. And so it's only about 10 years after the passing of Cyrus. So there are a lot of people that Xenophon spoke to, and he only had to speak to one person who really knew. And he got the inside scoop and reliably articulated, a lot of the history of Cyrus accurately. Okay, so. Okay, still here? Okay. Okay, so we're going to get into so Darius, son of Hystapes, who married Atosa, eldest daughter of Cyrus. In fact, when Cyrus was on a campaign, and possibly even at the same time as the first Persian invasion, you'll see that we correct the history books on that too, the time of the first and second Persian invasion, because there's a lot of overlap between the Persian kings. Time of Ahasuerus included the last 7 years of Cyrus, all the years of Cambyses too, the younger brother of Atosa, although she had a brother whose older sister was Atosa. Darius, the father of, he lived 36 years. 36 is how many years he lived. He ruled 6 years. He was like the armor bearer, spear man for Cambyses II, and Cambyses II went down and put down the revolt after the fall of Babel, 3389, within years of that. And so we account the overlap plus the 3 repetitions we talked about in episodes 1 and 2. Check out Perlman versus Ptolemy Canon and Perlman Chazal based alternate on the Persian Empire. So to get the inside tightest historic narrative. Don't forget, the Greeks didn't know their own history for more than like 100 years tops, because Plato admits and concedes because of illiteracy, wars, internal fighting like the Peloponnesian Wars, Sparta, and inland fires like in California and other places still have them. Occasionally, you have, even in Greece still, some wildfires inland and then coastal flooding. So between those, it was very hard for them to keep a good record. So they knew maybe what their grandfather did, probably not much more than that, reliably. And Herodotus went around and got different perspectives. He didn't always know that they were two perspectives of the same time. And so instead of putting them overlapping, he stacked them one after the other. So you get a lot of repetitions. So there are three main repetitions in for Darius, the son of Hystapes, for Ahasuerus, who's known as Xerxes I, and Artaxerxes II, and for Artaxerxes I, son of Ahasuerus, who's also known as Artaxerxes III, and perhaps more than that, some other minor repetitions. And that on account for overlap, Cyrus begins his 29-year career. Other people, there actually are places where it shows his career is actually closer to 11 years or 13 years, not 29, but the 29 is actually, we find, from his first military engagement against Bavel, when at about the coronation of Merodach had a raiding party, and this is in Xenophon, Cyropaedia, and this is when Cyrus was 15 or 16 years old. So that's how you get to the 29-year or 30-year career of Cyrus, but it begins long before he's leading 30,000 troops to aid his uncle. And the other accounts of that are probably propaganda from either propaganda or misapplication, because there were quite a few revolts and people claimed to be people who were not even there anymore. Just like Fort Smerdes claimed to be Smerdes, the brother, one of the several names for a younger brother, Cambyses too. So there were people who claimed to be Astyages the Mede, or Cyaxares the Mede, or during the revolts, or claimed to be kings of Bavel. So, look at the Behistun inscription. You'll see 2 or 3. So it could be some of those are confused. So when it says that Cyrus went there to, kill his grandfather or uncle, it's probably not. That's probably disinformation, trying to get the Medes and Persians to, war against each other to make it easy for Bavel to defeat them, to sow confusion and discord. Okay. So that happened probably when Cyrus was around, I think he passed on at 45. So prior, when he was around between 30 and 35, probably 30, 32, 33, probably when he went to help his uncle against the campaign by Belshazzar, when Belshazzar's father, Nabonidus' father, Nabonidus I, even Merodach, was down in Taman for like 10 years. So 3386. So that is within a year when Eva Merodach dies. So 3 more years, 3386, 3387. No, maybe it could be, 3386, 3387, 3388. Then early 3389 is the handwriting on the wall and the fall of Belshazzar and Nabonidus II to Cyrus, diverted the river, went through, and then during that celebration where they had the Holy Temple vessels out, it was 3389 before, early, it could have been before by Yom Kippur, maybe even on Yom Kippur. But about 10 days within 2 weeks of the start of 3389 was the fall of Bavel to Cyrus, whose senior uncle was Darius the Mede, who became king of kings for a year, and then after Cyrus's wife passed on, Cyrus married the daughter who he knew from when he used to visit Media. She'd probably been married and widowed, maybe. I'm guessing by then, but it's possible she hadn't yet been married. So he married her and got the king as a dowry. He got the kingdom of Media and Bavel, and so that rotation agreement is one of the reasons Darius the Mede honored that. Was probably he didn't like politics after what happened to Daniel and the advisors, tricking him into getting into the lion's den, and also he's getting up in age. I believe his birth was in I think it was 62 at the time, so 3389 minus 62 is that 3327. Yeah, I think 3327. That was probably when he was born, when Daniel was exiled. And so Ezekiel, that's the sweet spot, 3329, 3330 for the beginning of Daniel's prophecy, 3 years after him being taken. Don't forget, he was royal blood from the King David, I assume through King Solomon. I'm not positive. And taken, look at the first chapter of Daniel and the second chapter. And with his three friends, Hananiah, Isaiah, and Mishael, kept kosher. And Hashem was with him. And he had early wisdom and at a younger age, and we give some examples of others who had wisdom at a younger age. 3330, 3329. So if you say 3340, like Seder Olam is when Daniel started prophesying if he was exiled in 3338, 3338, 3339, 3340, that's 3 years. So then you have to say 3327, 3328, 3329 is when Daniel started to prophesize. So that's perfect, for Ezekiel. So he probably knew Daniel, maybe even exiled with him part of the trip. He probably knew Daniel because Daniel was royalty. I don't know how many royalty are around. And if not, Daniel probably almost certainly knew him. And certainly by 3329 or 3330, when Daniel pretty much saved all of the advisors and, that Nebuchadnezzar was ready to kill for failure to be wise and be wise, and Daniel, pretty much saves him. So Ezekiel, at that point, sure, Ezekiel's going to know. But he may even select it. How did they know which Jewish youth were royal and gifted? So Ezekiel, for all we know, could have been one of the ones who recommended Daniel to the royal court, than the others who were selected to become proficient. So they probably, before they were 13, I'm imagining, if you want them to talk Babylonian fluently, normally if you learn move somewhere by 12, you're going to know the language. Daniel could have been younger, could have been 7 when he was taken. I imagine it's at least 7. 10, but anywhere up to 12, I'm guessing. Probably not more than 12 when he was taken in 3327. Okay, so back to Eva Merodach. He passes on in 3386 after he goes back to confront the Persian Mede alliance. Darius the Mede and Cyrus was 37, and they're doing really well against territories that had been pretty much subjugated mostly by Babylonia, and allies of Babylonia, paying tribute to Babylonia, Bavel, from the time of Nebuchadnezzar. And that's the end of Eva Merodach. Cyrus gets him, and there's a good chance, if, put it this way, Yehoiachin, the king who ruled for 3 months, he became king. It's explicit. I think it is in Kings 2. It must be Kings 2 toward the end. When he was 18. So if 18, 33, 27, so in 33, 86, I think I remember doing the math. I think it's like age 76. You can do the math. If you're 18 at 33, 27, how old are you at 33, let's say 87, even if it's 86. So 18 plus 7, no, I couldn't be right. 27 plus 60, I believe. Yeah, so that'd be 78. So maybe he's 77, but somehow I thought 76. Oh, yeah, because I didn't count a 0 year, maybe. So either 76, 77, about. So he's not, back then a lot of people were living as longer than now. And only like in medieval Europe, I guess a lot of people were dying because of poor hygiene and other problems. But back then, normal lifespan was probably 80s. Some people, lived over 100, some to 120 still. Okay, so yeah, a good chance that Yehoiachin went when even Merodach took his entourage with him. A lot of times when they went to war, they took the whole entourage, their families with them, and they would do like mummies. They watch the maneuvers from afar, and so they a lot of times if they were expecting to win, if they had a huge army, and even though Cyrus had like a decent sized army, but the Babylonian Empire, had. So I think Cyrus caught even Merodach off guard, and was able to kill him. So probably King Yehoiachin, I don't remember if he had been blind or not, but he was probably killed at the same time. If he ate from the table of King Even Merodach all the days of his life, that means that he didn't outlive Even Merodach, but he lived to 77, then he lived as long as Even Merodach, probably at the same time. He probably was trying to defend Even Merodach, his benefactor, just like Daniel was defending Ahasuerus at the Cunexa when younger Cyrus. Megabazus is Daniel, and I think he was injured, and if I recall, and like people like Ctesias were treating Ahasuerus and the wounded, and I think Daniel was one of them. Okay, so I'm going to open up a file. So sorry if you don't see me, but I'll keep talking. When I'm going to be reading from Torah Discovery Chronology, and I'll be hopefully audible. Let's get that file up. Okay, so I mentioned page 168 in the current edition. If you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free on Kindle Unlimited. It's the Greco-Persian Wars. Let's start with that. I mentioned that quickly. Just 2 pages there. Okay. Oh, yes. Let's read with this. Begin. So, okay. So I give a few givens. Then we're going to have 10 historical eclipses. I included that in the see more. Look at the see more on the YouTube video, and I have the 10 historical eclipses. Greco-Persian Wars. Okay. So Bavel and Media, the Medes had an alliance, and Nineveh fell. Actually, the Medes jumped ahead without waiting for Babel, took Nineveh in 3313. In 3336, the solar eclipse of Halley's by Halys, by Alyattes, and by Cyaxares. So normally they have that at 585. It's actually 424 before the Christian era, which is 3336, 2 years before the fall of Babel. Okay, 3339, Nebuchadnezzar year 19, end of Holy Temple 1. That began 410 years earlier, 480 years after the 2448 Exodus, which was 500 years after Abraham, 100 years to Isaac, then 400 years to the Exodus. 3364, that's really when Cyrus gets his military career going at age probably 15 or 16. Not five, so 396, not 560 before the Christian era. Thucydides, this is one of the keys. Stop the 30 years of peace that lasts for 7 years in 3382. That's about when Cyrus takes 30,000 troops up to help out Uncle Darius the Mede. 3387, okay, about a year after slaying in battle by taking the initiative, kind of a surprise attack. Wasn't expecting it. Eva Merodach, Cyrus is over Croesus there. The Babylonian forces are ready and assembled. They probably would have, even Merodach is probably trying to get that kind of army together, but Cyrus got him before he could. Cyrus is moving so fast. He even, I think, left Darius and me behind. And yeah, Darius, he kind of missed out on the glory, but I'm sure he was happy not to, if Cyrus would have told him what his plan was, he probably wouldn't have wanted to go. But but after the victory went so well, so of course, he'd, but they somehow kept their egos in check. I think Cyrus is pretty humble, and that's how he was able to be Cyrus the Great, the Anointed. So Cyrus begins to hold rule. He beats Croesus, a massive army. In the book, we have the name of it. I just can't think of the name of the place offhand. A massive battle. And then quickly, Croesus gets back to Sardis, retreats, and Cyrus is, doesn't take long to get in pursuit. Yeah, so anyway, check out, that's all a lot of detail in Cyropaedia by Xenophon. Okay, so Cyrus takes over. By this time, Gobryas had already joined, not long after the death of Eva Merodach. King Gobryas, who was really hurt by Belshazzar, Nabonidus II, he defected after the death of Nabonidus I. Eva Merodach defects to Cyrus because of what Belshazzar, out of jealousy, Belshazzar was not a good person, just like Cambyses II was not. Did something, horrible to the son of, for no legit reason, to the son of Gobryas. So Gobryas joins Cyrus, or at this point, I think. Okay, yeah. And then Athens' delegation already that very year is already visiting Cyrus at Sardis, which is now Turkey. Aristogoras siege is in 373 before the Christian era, not 499, 3387. Athenians burn Sardis by the Ionian revolt. That's already 3388. 498 is a consensus. So it's 372 before the Christian era. 3389 after the fall of Babel, early in 3389, handwriting on the wall with Daniel. Megabazus. The Persians counter and burn Naxos. 3389 to 3391, yeah, it's still mid Cyrus, midway between, actually earlier, within a year plus minus of his year one as King of Kings of Babylonia, first Persian invasion with Mardonius and Datis in 372, not 492. So 120 years more recently, but relatively earlier too. For Cyrus is still alive. 3390, I mentioned that 1 year, Darius the Mede, King of Kings of Babel, Daniel in the lion's den, in the capital Media, I believe at that point, probably not in Babylonia city, but it's probably in the capital of Media, which the name of that city I have in the book, and I heard it somewhere in my head. Battle of Pelusium, 3392, Cambyses II versus Egypt and the Ionians. Okay, so the Ionians are already involved there. I think that's what Herodotus, he saw the aftermath of that, 3392. This is only 4 years, or 5 years before, the 5th year before the group of seven. Probably about 4 years, probably 4 years before the group of seven fought Smyrdes. So Battle of Pelusium with Cambyses II versus Egypt and the Ionians. That was in 368, 3392, a year or two before the death of Cyrus. 368, not 525. So there, the history books are off by 132 plus 39, 171. 172 years, the consensus history books of fudge in there. No, 525, sorry. 132 plus 25, 150, 168, I believe. But plus 525 minus 368. Yeah, 157. Okay. That's 3392. 3393, Cyrus dies. Esther is queen. Thomas Xerxes, Ahasuerus, year 7. You may Ahasuerus, year 7, 3393 on a Monday. 3394, Cambyses II dies. Some people say a self-inflicted wound on his way back. I think it happened what's in modern Syria, on the way back to Persia from Egypt campaign. And then Mordechai, also known as Otanes, group of seven, we had that in, I think, week 2 of the Histon inscription last week. He initiates a group of 7 by recruiting Darius, the son of Hystapes, and the father-in-law of Esther, the father of Ahasuerus, and who have an interest in Ahasuerus not getting killed by Smyrdes. So and then they recruit, Mordechai recruits, gets Daniel recruits a couple of founders of that group of 7 that saved Persia from fought Smyrdes conspiracy. And Xerxes I, who's also Darius II, is about to get it too. So Mordechai, the judge, obtains Din, Dayan, so letter reversal, and Dayan, obtains OT, TD, dental switch, the Edenics with Isaac Moseson, and the language, origins of the speeches. I have the book here on the shelf. Very good. If anybody's interested in Torah and science. Okay. Okay. So we already saw that. Okay, I have Greco-Persian Wars. Keep going. I guess I can keep going. Group of seven. Oh yeah, I just talked about 3395. So during that group of seven, guess Megabuzus, who's who? Daniel quells Babel revolt. It's the first Babel revolt. Xerxes goes to Sardis. Ahasuerus goes to Sardis. Okay, second Persian in his year 9. Second, you may Ahasuerus year 9. Second Persian invasion is already, and Xerxes, Ahasuerus, I'm not sure he's actually with it, but Athens is burned. So it could well be Xerxes, Ahasuerus was there, or maybe it's just running things from Saudis, I'm not sure. Have to double check. That was in 3395 already. So 1 year before the Behistun inscription. So that's 480 years, not, oh no, that 480 is consensus, 365 actual years before the Christian era. Okay, 3396, the year of the Behistun inscription, Mardonius, the aged dad of Gabryas, dies at Plataea. 479, 364 before the Christian era. Also in 3396, Xerxes' eclipse, the same as Thucydides year 1 of 21. That was in 3396. See our 10 historical eclipses. So 480 before the Christian era. No, actually, that's consensus, 364 actual years. So a difference of 116 years. But now we're down to a difference of 116 years. Okay, so it's getting closer. Okay, 3396, eclipse year 1 of 21. Okay, I just said that. Is equal to 15 years of the 30-year peace. Okay, that's 3396 on a Monday, not 431. So they're only off by 35 years, I believe. No, more than that. 36 plus 31, 67 years. Okay, on that particular event. Okay, so Ctesias is 3396, still the year of the Behistun inscription, the year we resumed construction of the Holy Temple 2, after the pause during Cambyses 2, mid Cambyses 2, toward the end of Cambyses 2. And Ahasuerus probably consented to it. I'm not doubt Cambyses 2 would ask permission, but it didn't look like Ahasuerus had a problem at that point. He didn't know Esther's heritage, and at that point. And okay, so Ctesias of Cnidus taken by, okay, so this is probably when Ctesias was taken in 3396. That's the year of the Behistun inscription. There are a lot of battles going on then. And Ctesias, he actually lived near the, if I recall, Cnidus is like on the southwest coast. So southwest of Sardis. So a good chance that was when he was taken. And the Behistun inscription, there are 19 wars that Darius, Darius, son of Histapas, son of Asames, the father of Ahasuerus, is also Xerxes 1, also Darius 2 repetition. It's based on Ahasuerus. Okay. 3397 to 3400, Ctesias 3 years to the end of Darius, year 8. Post Cyrus. So 8 years post Cyrus is until then. So 33, so 3 years from, I think Darius Ben Hystaspas year 3 until the end of Darius. 3400 is 8 years after Cyrus. 3400 is 3393 end of Cyrus. 3400, that's 8 years later. Okay. 3399, the Purim climax, Xerxes year 13, like we see in the book of Esther. Adar 1415, okay, 2 weeks till Purim. Happy Adar. Starting, some people it's already begun. 2-day Rosh Chodesh. Thursday night, Friday night, and Shabbos. Okay. Friday night, and Shabbos. So the 6th day of the week and 7th, and Shabbos, 7th, 2 days. So the second day of Rosh Chodesh is the first day of Adar. The first day of Rosh Chodesh is the last day of Shabbat, the month we're in, New Year for trees. Okay. Okay. 3400, Darius 1 year 6, we complete the Holy Temple. Darius is either ill by now or, maybe even dies 3400, but he's alive at least till 3400, mid 3400. Okay, 3403, Thucydides, probably mispronounced it, eclipse year 8 of 21. So if you look at the Peloponnesian Wars, Thucydides, year 8 of 21, that'd be 13 years from when Cyrus became king of kings of Babel in 3390. 3403. That's 424 before the Christian era. 37. Don't forget to subtract from 5,785 minus 2025 is equal to 3760, and subtract 3403 and from 3760. Oh, actually 357. Sorry, 357 before the 424 is when they think it happened. The consensus, inflated consensus, that doesn't take into account the overlap and has other fudge in it. Okay, and repetitions. So the actual is 357. So 3760 minus 3403 is 357 before the Christian era is the actual. So the difference here, we're down to 43 plus 24 is equal to 57. Wait, could that be right? Yeah, I guess it could. Wait, 43 plus 24 year difference. 60, maybe 71. 40, 64 plus 3, 67 years. The consensus is inflated by 67 years at that point. Okay, now, shortly after that eclipse, Thucydides eclipse year 8 of 21, is Cyrus the Younger heading to Cunaxa, the younger brother of Ahasuerus, with the 10,000 Greek mercenaries that Xenophon lived older than the average recruit. So Xenophon somewhere, probably at least 40, between 40, 50 years old, I'm guessing. I did some calculations, so we're a little bit closer than that, but just off the top of my head, we have more detail in the book. This is the summary. 3403, Cunaxa, younger Cyrus. Okay, as I said, okay. That was in 357. So 401 is in the history book. So here, 43, 44. It's only off by 44 years, the inflated consensus. And 16 of those years actually are during Ptolemy II. The rest before by Alexander, the Macedonian. Okay. Before that, okay. Cunaxa. Okay, 3407, Eurymedon. Xerxes vs. the Ahasuerus versus the Delian League, Delin League, Delin. IAN League. Oh, so yeah, it was actually 4 years after Cunaxa, that was actually, that's actually 4 years after Cunaxa, not 55 years before it. Okay. The king's 3407, the king's ill, which King Ahasuerus, Xerxes I, who's also Artaxerxes II, son replaces 13 years after Cambyses II. 13 years after the end of Cambyses II, Darius Artaxerxes, the son of Ahasuerus and Esther, replaces his father Ahasuerus. 3407, just like Chazal have. 3409, Thucydides. I like to call, I'm not sure what I call Thucydides, Peloponnesian Wars, and 27 years. So those were 3382 to 3409. So 3382 start, and 3409 is the end. That's 351 actual years before the Christian era, so not 405. So the consensus is inflated at that point by 49 plus 5, 54 years. Okay, 3409, solar, again at the end, solar eclipse on April 22nd, 351. Oh, we can actually agree on when the solar eclipse was, okay? That was 3409. 3417. So I'm not sure. You have to check 10 historic eclipses to see if I have anything for that. But there was a solar eclipse, 3409, the last year of Thucydides, year 27. But I think I have that 405. Okay. Before, so again, 54 years before the actual solar eclipse that was really at the end of the Thucydides, and 27 years. Okay. Philip II, 3417, so 8 years after the end of that Peloponnesian Wars. Philip II, if he had 23-year reign authority, then he started 3417. Philip II start, if he did actually have 23 years of, he was, I think, a regent king to start, and never turned over the reins. 3417 would be the start of Philip II. 8 years later, Battle of Leuctra, not in 335, not in 371 before Christian era, but in 335 before Christian era, 3425. 3433, solar eclipse of Alexander of Perae and Peloponnese. That was in 3433. Alexander would have, the famous Alexander the Great, so I'm not sure it's the same Alexander, would have only been, how old was he when he passed on 33? He would have been pretty young. Would have been, probably would have been about, 10, 12 years old, I think. How old was he at River Granicus? We have we have his age in the book. This is just a summary. So 3442, the Alexander victory over Persia at the River Granicus. So that's just like Chazal have 52 years after the Cyrus is year one of kings of Babel. So Cyrus is a Persian. So the true Persian span, if you count from the beginning of Alexander's, there wasn't full capitulation till Minyan Shtara at 3448. 1,000 years after revelation at Sinai, 2,448, which was 50 days, 47 full weeks after the plus a day after the Exodus, plus 1,000 years. That's 0 year minyan shtarat document year count. So that's when. So if we're counting the Greek span from the start of Alexander's defeat of Persia, then 3442, then it is 52 years. But Darius Artaxerxes, the son of Esther and Achashverosh, he's a lot. Well, we'll see. He's going to be alive for another about 4 or 5 years, and then there's still going to be some more efforts by some people to defeat Greece, but capitulation, and then the Greek Empire takes over. So yeah, the Persians, like I was saying before with Plato, the Greeks didn't know their own history. Then passed like 2 or 3 generations, and again, they only had limited perspectives even then. Then the Persians come under the Greek Empire, then they're going to be under the Roman Empire. The Egyptians are already under the Persian Empire. And so the Egyptians were not their own masters and didn't have their own education. So that's why, Chazal, within Chazal, we're the only, Torah is, we're the people of the book, and we have the unbroken chain of Torah Masara. So now that we're untying the knot, and with the benefit of Torah Masara, Chazal, and the fully reliable scripture, Masoric text, and a week ago we had a segment on the Dead Sea Scrolls showing the Masoric text actually starts. Dead Sea Scrolls actually date back to not just to the Hashmonite era, not just to the Greek era of the Septuagint, about 3,500 mid Ptolemy II, but not just to the Persian era, but all the way back to 3375, and maybe that's carbon dating, and even perhaps much earlier than that, because they haven't carbon dated everything. You don't want to ruin it by carbon dating the holy text, but the ones that they were able to date, we already have dates back to 3375 using the Titus chronology, and that's mid Babylonia toward the end of within Jeremiah talks. So it's actually 11 years before the end of Jeremiah, where it talks whether or not Jeremiah, passed on. I don't know if he passed on, like Joshua wrote there's a view Joshua wrote the last 7 verses or 10 verses in the book of Deuteronomy after Moses passed on, or about the passing on of Moshe. So to here in the last bit on Jeremiah about Yehoiachin, to the end of the days, whether it's his or even Merodach's or Yehoiachin or both, like I think 3386, when Yehoiachin is only 77, about give or take a year. So this is probably when Yehoiachin is still at Tema. Okay. Where should I go? Just put me on pause for a minute and I have to guess. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up. And maybe in about an hour. Yeah, Gutenberg books, Gutenberg library, very good for Xenophon, Cyropaedia. And 34, 44, Alexander Isus, Esther's taken, that's Gambis. Look at our prequel. 6 Names of Esther. We have that on YouTube, and an article on ResearchGate and Academia. Or if you have Kindle Unlimited, the whole Moshe Emes series is free and has cosmology model that not only aligns with scriptural narrative, but also chronology, and actually falsifies everything millions and billions of years, over 5 million years. Some from the hyperdense thoughts already been falsified properly, holding up for 10 years with a massive parsimony advantage, 5.67 quintillion to 1, and much more pure scientific advantage than even that. So it's bound to replace, due to replace the standard cosmological model, SCM, LCDM, after consideration and dissemination. So why everybody's willfully ignorant. There are over 20,000 reads. So the people who can make a difference are either don't know, they don't know. But I know some people do know. So why they want to remain willfully ignorant. Now, a lot of what people think they do know, they don't know. So that's part of the problem with the confirmation bias box. Modern science is cumulative, so it's modern cosmology. And that's the recipe for the confirmation bias reinforced box for the last 5 decades or more. That almost precludes the consideration of the vastly higher probability science that's within YEC creation science, thousands, not billions of years from the hyperdense thought. That's Perlman, YEC, being one of the hypotheses. You may have many hypotheses that have greatly advanced science beyond what you can learn in college right now, and based on basic physics and math and the laws of probability. Okay. Okay, next week, Scroll of Esther, more about Cyrus, Bagoas, as I like to call him. Asames, the grandfather of Cyrus, Darius, the Ben Histapus, Ben Arsames, Sanballat. We're gonna Ezra. We're gonna show Nehemiah. We're gonna show how there's no way that hundreds of years, 200 years elapsed from the mid Cyrus until Alexander at the Macedonian at who defeated Persian Empire. So okay. Then we can talk about Daniel's the 70 weeks of Jeremiah. No, the 70 years of Jeremiah, 3320 initial occupation, just like Rashi says, until 3320 until 3390. Cyrus Year as King of Kings of Babel. 70 weeks of Daniel, bookended by holy ends of Holy Temple 1 and 2. 494 years. Then the 2300 years, chapters 8 and 12, and who that aligns with the Rebbe who actually learned with Rabbi Hutner, then had a lot of, and we'll show why, as far as, we, from my limited perspective, it looks like the Lubavitch Rebbe is, what Daniel Fossar predicted in chapters 8 and 12, and there are a lot of great Torah sages from lots of denominations, Aguda Yisrael, and that Rabbi Nachman Cohen, Torah Lishma Institute, those who know, and had a relation, you'd be amazed that the Gedolei Yisrael, that like Rabbi Hutner. Okay. Then about Yedua and Shimon HaTzadik also, how we see in Josephus, how that ties in. Check out an article on Josephus. He's not internally consistent, but he has a lot of good information in there. So we tied that together. Okay. And then Olympia dating, we'll do another its own segment. Okay. So happy Adar. Thank you for listening. Try to follow the channel. Enjoy it. Recommend it. Share it. Have a good Shabbos. Happy Rosh Chodesh. Check out the planetary alignment. Maybe Avraham Avinu would know if that has any significance. But if we merit it, Hashem will hasten it. It's time, which it might be time for all we know, and if not, and early, we can take it in early if we're ready, worthy, and or really need it, and the complete redemption in progress from when the Rebbe 1928-29, when he got initial authority, he married in an auspicious time. In I think 14th of Kislev, 2,300 years after 3389, the Daniel for handwriting on the wall. Okay. I hope to see you next week, 11 Pacific Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Let's see if I can get out of this. Okay.